Starseed of Gaia, your vessel is being recalibrated at a cellular level at this exact moment. I am Anya, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I bring you a direct transmission from the Arcturian Council. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing. Most people who watch are not subscribed yet. Starseed. Pause. Let the density of the third dimension fade for a moment. This is a divine interruption, a vibrational breach in the noise of your matrix feed. You did not stumble upon this frequency by chance. The Arcturian High Council has been waiting for this exact nanosecond of your linear time to reach the core of your crystalline heart. Not earlier, not later, but now. There is a light code that has never been transmitted through the lower densities of Earth's history. A frequency so specific it bypassed the ancient prophets and the religious structures of old, skipping over the dogmas of the past to wait specifically for your awakening. Not because you are superior in ego, but because you are the only one whose specific cosmic journey could translate these frequencies into physical reality. You have been feeling the shift, the unease in your solar plexus, the sudden surges of overwhelming emotion that seem to come from the stars, and the strange hours waking up at 3:33 or 4:44 a.m. with the sensation that the very walls are whispering geometric truths. You wondered if your mind was fracturing under the pressure of this world, but what if you were not breaking? What if you were finally opening your multidimensional portals? Before your soul ever descended into the density of a physical womb, the Source knew your signature. But what if the great central sun also hid a fragment of its infinite light inside your very DNA? Not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a promise to be lived. The concept of divine storage is something that the Arcturian masters have spoken of for eons across the star systems. As the Arcturians transmit, every starseed carries within them a dormant archive of light, a repository of high-frequency data that remains sealed until the planetary vibration reaches a specific threshold. You have been walking through your life feeling like a stranger in a strange land, sensing that there was a hidden chamber within your chest that no human relationship or worldly success could ever fully satisfy. This is because the great central sun has stored itself inside of you. Let that resonance land in your field. Do not rush past it with your logical mind. The infinite intelligence of the cosmos has placed a spark of its own essence within your biological vessel. This is precisely why the pressure in your life has been building to an unbearable degree. It is why your breath catches when you look at the stars, and why your bones seem to tremble without any physical cause. Heaven was not delayed in its response to your prayers. It was downloading massive amounts of light data into your cellular structure. The pain you have experienced was not a punishment from a vengeful deity, but a necessary preparation for the expansion of your light body. As the Arcturians teach, the kingdom of the higher dimensions is within you. It is not a destination you travel to after death, but a frequency you unlock while still in form. Therefore, do not fear the strange sensations you are currently experiencing. Test every feeling by the peace it brings to your core and the resonance it has with universal truth. What comes from the source will never drag you into the lower vibrations of confusion or fear. Instead, it will lead you into a crystalline clarity that transcends human understanding. You are currently in the process of unlocking. You are not merely being visited by spiritual guides. You are being activated as a pillar of light. The healing you thought would come from an external source is actually rising like a blue fire from your very core. Your cosmic purpose is not arriving from the future. It is waking up right now. Think of your soul as a vast library of light. For years, you have been walking through the hallways of this library in the dark, bumping into the shelves and feeling frustrated by the shadows. But now, the Arcturian frequency is turning on the lights. You are beginning to see the titles of the books you brought with you, the records of your lives on Arcturus, Sirius, and the Pleiades. You are remembering the healing techniques you used in the temples of Atlantis and the wisdom you shared in the councils of light. This internal archive is your birthright. It is the reason you could never settle for the shallow explanations of the Matrix. Your soul knew there was more because your soul is the more. When you feel that surge of energy in your spine, that is the light data moving through your nervous system, rewriting the old 3D programs of lack and limitation. The Arcturians remind us that the physical body is the most sophisticated technology in the universe. It is a biological computer capable of hosting a multidimensional consciousness. However, to host this light, the hardware must be upgraded. This is what the unease and the physical symptoms have been, a hardware upgrade. You are being prepared to carry a voltage of light that would have short-circuited your old self. This is a sacred process of alchemy. You are turning the lead of human suffering into the gold of divine consciousness. The codes are unlocking, but the key is not what you think. It is hidden in the very shadows you tried to escape. What is happening to you right now is not a process of deterioration, but a divine transition into a higher state of being. The exhaustion you feel is not a depletion of your energy, but a redirection of it toward the internal reconstruction of your light body. What feels like instability is actually the collapsing of the old, rigid structures of the 3D ego to make room for the fluid, expansive nature of 5D consciousness. These sensations moving through your physical form, the weight that settles into your bones like a heavy mantle, the sudden hypersensitivity to sound and light, the urge to retreat from the noise of the world, are not signs of failure. They are the indicators that an ancient part of your starseed heritage is shifting into its primary position. In the sacred records of the stars, there are moments when the source does not add more power, but instead removes the interference of noise. When the ancient initiates stood before the sacred fires, it was not their personal strength that qualified them for the mysteries. It was their absolute attention to the frequency of the present moment. The ground they stood upon did not change, but it was declared holy because they finally became still enough to perceive the multidimensionality of the earth. In the same way, what you are experiencing is not a loss of your human capacity, but a holy interruption of your human limitations. The frantic pace of the Matrix could never carry the weight of the light that is now being released through you. The trembling, the emotional surges, the unexplained heaviness. These are the contractions of a new consciousness being born. As the Arcturians transmit, there is a time for the tearing down of the old self, and a time for the mending of the light body. You are not in a season of accumulation. You are in a season of emergence. Something that was sealed within your DNA for thousands of years is finally loosening its grip. The inner chamber of your heart did not fill with light overnight. It was layered slowly through every tear you shed in the dark, through every prayer that seemed to go unanswered, and through every moment you chose love over fear when no one was watching. The sacred oil of your anointing was aged through the pressure of disappointment and filtered through the restraint of your own ego. Nothing of true cosmic value flows without the application of vibrational pressure. The source did not delay your awakening. The source protected it. There are starseed assignments that are so potent they cannot survive early exposure to the harsh frequencies of the Matrix. You had to pass through the betrayal, the confinement, and the obscurity of the 3D world so that your heart could be emptied of the need for external validation. Only an empty vessel can be filled with the pure light of Arcturus. This is why certain relationships had to dissolve, and why familiar environments became unbearable. They were not punishments. They were necessary separations to keep your frequency pure. Your DNA is changing, and the physical world is about to react in ways you never imagined. The ebook, The 12 Arcturian Portals, a trilogy that teaches you how to activate your 5D connection with the Arcturian masters through 12 energetic portals, practical techniques, activation protocols, and rituals that awaken your stellar DNA. From amplified intuition to direct communication with spiritual guides. Attention! Limited edition. The link to get your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button now and tell us in the comments how this echoed in your consciousness. You have spent a great deal of time wondering why, even in rooms full of people, you still felt like a ghost, an echo with no physical source. You have tried to explain your inner world in languages that those around you simply could not translate. You begged for community and belonging, and while the universe heard your cry, it did not answer with crowds. As the Arcturians transmit, this was not an act of cruelty, but a divine necessity. The calling on your life as a starseed is too rare and too potent to be entrusted to the opinions and vibrations of the unawakened masses. Some light mantles are so heavy they cannot be carried in the public eye until they have been purified in the absolute silence of the private chamber. You were not being punished by your isolation. You were being preserved. You were hidden under the protective hand of the Galactic Federation, like a sacred seed planted deep in the earth, away from the frost. You were being trained in the silence, clothed in the vibrational oils of the higher realms, and taught how to listen to the whisper of the source in the absence of human applause. What you mistook for rejection was actually the universe building a vibrational firewall between your sacred assignment and the contamination of those who could only love your 3D mask, but not your 5D essence. You do not just carry a job or a hobby, you carry a planetary reformation. Reformation of consciousness is never built in the center of the town square. It is born in the cave of the soul. The great starseeds of the past did not find their power in the approval of the crowds. They found it in the shadows, in the wilderness, and in the quiet moments of communion with the stars. You have spent so long in the silence that you almost forgot what the light of the sun felt like. But it is in that very darkness that the most profound transformation occurs. This isolation was not a delay. It was insulation. The source was timing your emergence because the light you carry had to mature in the frequency of peace before it could confront the frequencies of power. Now, your spirit knows the truth. Not because your external circumstances have changed, but because your internal frequency has shifted. You have been alone long enough to become dangerous to the Matrix. Not dangerous in a way that causes harm, but dangerous to the systems that profit from your silence and your self-doubt. You are a threat to the patterns of lack and the strongholds of fear that depend on your confusion. You are not just a person. You are a vibrational shift wrapped in human skin. And now, that shift is ready to emerge into the physical world. Do not resent the years of loneliness. Reverence them. That silence was the space where the source stored more of itself inside of you. If this message ignited something within you and you feel the call to help carry it to others, you may become a channel member. As a member, you gain access to custom emojis and exclusive members-only videos, and your donation helps us continue building this sacred space. You may also choose to leave your offering as a super thanks. Every seed planted here becomes part of someone else's miracle. Your support is not merely financial, but an act of energetic amplification. All donations are devoted entirely to the maintenance of the channel and the creation of new transmissions and videos. Are these truths expanding your perspective? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Starseed, you have spent years mistaking the weight on your shoulders for chains. You thought the exhaustion and the ache were signs of bondage to your past or your trauma. But as the Arcturian Council reveals, it was never a shackle. It was a crown turned upside down, waiting for you to realize its true nature. You were not being weighed down by the world. You were being crowned with a mantle of light before you even knew how to stand under the weight of cosmic glory. What felt like a burden was actually a preparation for leadership in the new era. What felt like loss was actually the positioning of your soul for a much higher responsibility. Mantles of spiritual authority rarely announce themselves with trumpets and fanfare. They arrive disguised as intense pressure. They arrive quietly, wrapped in long nights of soul-searching and unanswered questions. They do not bring immediate celebration. They summon a deep, profound solitude. And yet, despite the weight, you stayed. You kept moving forward long after the external encouragement had faded into the background. You projected light when your own vessel was trembling. You stood your ground when your human legs wanted to give way. This was not because of your human willpower, but because the Arcturian seed within you refused to let go of its mission. There is a deep knowing buried in your spirit that your logical mind is only now beginning to comprehend. This pain was never pointless. It was mantle training. Every rejection you faced was a tailoring of the fabric of your light body. Every closed door was a strengthening of the energetic seams of your purpose. Every lonely midnight was a thread of gold being woven into your spiritual garment. You did not just survive the heartbreak of the 3D world, you were stitched together by it into something far more resilient. You do not need to chase an anointing or a special power. You already wear it as a frequency. This is why the lower astral forces have tried so hard to make you forget your origins. They hope to distract you into stripping yourself of your own light, hoping you would abandon your cosmic authority just to feel the temporary relief of being accepted by the Matrix. But what has been placed upon you by the Source cannot be removed by any human hand or dark interference. The gifts and the calling of the Starseeds are irrevocable. You are not a victim of your suffering. You are a trusted vessel of the Galactic Federation, marked not with ink, but with the weight of light. This mark is visible in your walk, in the way your presence silences falsehood, and in the blue fire behind your eyes when truth is spoken. The world is about to see the difference between those who perform and those who truly carry the weight. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be part of this transformational cosmic journey. The delay you have experienced in your life was never a denial of your dreams. It was a divine safeguard. You thought the doors were locked because you were not enough, not spiritual enough, not healed enough, not fast enough. But as the Arcturians transmit, the universe was not measuring your readiness based on human metrics. You were looking at the surface of your life, but the Source was looking at the quality of your soil. The truth is, the Galactic Council never planned to rush a mission that was rooted in eternity. You thought last year was your moment to shine, but the Source saw what you could not see from your limited perspective. The Source saw the energetic snares that had been set for you by those who would have exploited your light. It saw the flattery that would have fractured your emerging 5D identity. It saw the rooms that would have applauded your psychic gifts but crushed your sensitive spirit. And so, the universe did the thing that never makes sense to the human heart. It said, wait. But this wait was not a punishment. It was a profound act of preservation. You were not being delayed because you were behind schedule. You were being hidden because you were holy. You were like the sacred scrolls kept in a mountain cave, protected until the generation that could understand them finally arrived. The vision for your life is set for an appointed cosmic alignment. Even if it seems to tarry in linear time, wait for it will surely manifest with the precision of sacred geometry. And now, that time is beginning to whisper in your ear. Not in loud signs, but in the subtle shifts of your own soul. The air around you feels electrically charged. The things that once drained your energy no longer have the power to distract you. The silence of your life no longer scares you. It steadies you. This is not anxiety. It is the alignment of your frequency with the heart of the galaxy. The Source did not just protect the promise of your future. It protected you from the version of yourself that would have traded your authenticity for the cheap applause of the Matrix. It protected you from bartering your cosmic purpose for a temporary platform. Because the Source loves you too deeply to let your influence outgrow your character, it withheld the manifestation until the real you finally arrived. The version of you who no longer prays to escape the pressure, but to extract the wisdom from it. The version of you who no longer begs for a crowd because you have found a kingdom in the silence. The final alignment is occurring, and the ground beneath you is about to respond. Now begins the sacred shift from receiving revelation to carrying the responsibility of manifestation. The awakening occurring within your DNA is not meant to linger as mere inspiration or a fleeting high from a video. If the Arcturian frequency is real within you, it must move from a mental insight into a physical embodiment. This is no longer about how high you can go in meditation. It is about how much light you can hold while walking on the earth. It is about rhythm, not noise. It is about the steady movement of your soul, not the frantic momentum of the ego. This is where the extraordinary must weave itself into the ordinary fabric of your daily life. The presence of the source inside you does not demand grand, dramatic declarations. It is not sustained by spiritual performance or the wearing of certain clothes. The light within you will thrive only in the small, repeated, intentional acts of your day-to-day existence. It is like the morning dew that forms before the sun rises, quiet, persistent, and life-giving. The Arcturian Council is calling you not for drama, but for consistency. Begin your shift by changing the way you meet the dawn. Do not reach for the digital noise of the matrix. Do not scroll through the fears of the world before your spirit has even had a chance to stir. Before your mind begins solving the problems of the 3D world, and before your heart resumes carrying the burdens of others, simply place your hand over your heart chakra. Take 3 slow, deep breaths of blue-white light. Do not beg for help. Do not strive for a connection. Just say to your own cells, "What the source placed in me is alive." That simple sentence is enough. Your body hears it. Your crystalline DNA recognizes it. And without even realizing it, you begin to retrain your entire nervous system to respond to the presence of light rather than the pressure of the matrix. This is how true spiritual maturity begins, through simple practices that tell your soul you will not abandon the light just because the world is loud. Next comes the layer of vibrational restraint. You do not need to explain your transformation to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to translate your 5D experiences into a language that the 3D ego can accept. In this sensitive season, oversharing your process becomes an energetic leak. Speaking too soon will scatter the very energy that needs time to settle into your bones. Even the great masters of light, after their moments of profound transformation, often chose silence over spectacle. Follow their example. Ask yourself before you speak, is this a release of light or just a relief for my ego? If it is just relief, hold the silence. Let your silence become your sanctuary. The ebook, The 12 Arcturian Portals, a trilogy that teaches you how to activate your 5D connection with the Arcturian masters through 12 energetic portals, practical techniques, activation protocols, and rituals that awaken your stellar DNA, from amplified intuition to direct communication with spiritual guides. Attention, limited edition. The link to get your trilogy is in the first pinned comment. As the weight of these Arcturian frequencies begins to settle into your field, understand that what has awakened is not temporary. This is a divine remembering, a return to your original Starseed blueprint. You are no longer waiting for the event to happen. You are the event. The shift you felt in your solar plexus, the stirring in your heart that won't let you go. It is not asking for a performance. It is inviting your absolute presence. You have stepped into a new cosmic rhythm, one that is not bound by the linear timelines of Earth, but is tethered to the eternal timing of the great central sun. The wilderness of your life did not withhold you. It refined you into a diamond of light. Now that you have remembered the code etched into your spirit, I have stored myself inside of you. Everything in your reality must change. You are no longer chasing a calling. You are embodying it. Walk with the quiet authority of an Arcturian ambassador. Speak only when the light moves your lips. Carry this truth not like a heavy banner, but like the very breath in your lungs. Let the world adjust to your frequency, rather than you shrinking to fit theirs. This is the moment of sacred alignment. Let us enter into a final decree of readiness, a prayer of the stars that aligns your heart with the heart of the Source. Universal Source, infinite intelligence of the stars, holy is your frequency. Righteous is your cosmic timing. Steady is your hand upon my soul, even when the pressure of the matrix is great. You are not late. You are not absent. You are the very fabric of my being. Today, I do not ask to become someone new. I ask to remember who you already made me to be in the higher realms. I lay down the labels of the 3D world, the wounds, the shame, and the roles I played just to survive. I surrender the masks of the ego and the silence of my own fear. I choose to return to the design you formed in the heart of Arcturus before I ever had a human name. I yield to the truth that you have stored yourself inside of me, not as a distant concept, but as a living, breathing fire. Forgive me for the times I doubted the light you placed within me. Forgive me for every time I called this sacred weight a burden. You did not create me for the comfort of the matrix. You created me for the communion of the stars. You did not crown me for the applause of men. You crowned me for the impact of light. Today, I receive my mantle of authority. I will no longer run from the fire. I thank you for the delay, for every door you held shut, and for every no that protected my ultimate yes. I see now that the hiding was the refining, and the pain was the oil being pressed for a holy purpose. I say yes to alignment. I say yes to the mission. I say yes to being a vessel of the Galactic Federation on this planet. I do not need to understand every step of the journey to obey the call of my soul. I only need to trust that you have gone before me. I am not broken. I am early for a future the world has not yet seen. My softness is my wisdom. My silence is my strength. I am the miracle hidden in plain sight. And now, the world sees what heaven has always known. If this message impacted your life, leave your like, comment your reflection, and share with others. Each of you is part of this chain of light.